Sixto. There could not be a better name.
I love the names on this team. They have Sixto Sanchez, and they have my favorite name probably in baseball right now, Jazz Chisholm.
To win a championship, not only do you need great players on the court, but you need good chemistry, which takes time to develop.
It's weird how the dynamic works between sports, but
showing emotion in baseball is terrible and should never be in the game.
Blame Luke Walton for that. They have a lot of young players that I believe can really excel in this league.
Corey Perry will give some veteran presence to the Canadians and to just help give some insights on what he did last year.
Justin Fields is a all-time talent, and we definitely need to take into consideration his health.
This was a trade that the Senators really hope would work out, as Matt Murray has won the Cup 2 times.
Even though this is Mr. Irrelevant, he may be Mr. Playing Time after this season's over.
Just amazing, and I don't care what the Red Sox got for trading Mookie Betts and David Price. The Dodgers, in my opinion, win it. I don't have to see what players they gave up.
Charlie McAvoy also is, I think, a Norris contender, a top 5 Norris contender this year.
When Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones make jokes about not valuing the safety position, well, we can make jokes about you not being in Super Bowl for 20-something years, but
I feel like Luka will take that next step, and if he can get a 3 ball consistently around 35%, I feel like they could become a contender.
It just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up, and when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
What's up, everyone? This is Justin Goldman from the Goalie Guild and Lift the Mask, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our 92nd episode. We changed a little bit from what we said last episode. Speaking of last episode, we did our teams that are Super Bowl or bust for a second season. Make sure to check that out, as we had to separate them into tiers due to how some teams fit. So make sure to check that out. Today we will be ranking the top 10 teams that made the biggest offseason moves for the NHL. And a move is an expansion draft pick, a signing, extension, or a trade, to clarify. So let's start with number 10, Austin, when we have the Washington Capitals. Big name is right now is Ovechkin, then Vita Vanacek, as he was selected by the Seattle Kraken. But given how the Capitals desperately need goalies, they were able to get him back by trading with the Kraken to get Vanacek back. And then they also signed Samsonov. How do you feel about these moves?
Yeah, I think part of it is that they re-signed Ovechkin, so they're like, okay, we have our core together. Let's go make some more moves to to put them in the category of contenders. Obviously, not to spoil anything, but the Capitals again are going to be our Stanley Cup or bust. They're an old team with old veterans that need to win now. Backstrom's getting older, Oshie's getting older, Ovechkin's getting older. Maybe they re-sign Chara, we don't know, but their team is just an older team, and so they're making moves here to not only get themselves younger with Vanacek and re-signing Samsonov, but shoring up their goaltending, which has really been an issue during some of their past runs where they haven't made it out of the first round since they won the Cup. So,
yeah, and they lost Barry Trosk right after that Cup win, if I'm correct, and he moved to the Islanders, and they've made it into the top 4. So I'm sure the Capitals missed that. Now we move on to number 9, where the Red Wings, Nedeljkovic, they traded for from Carolina. A great young goalie, and they also got Pius Suter, and they re-signed Mark Stahl. So another step in their rebuild, as Mark Stahl continues to be the leader, but you get a great goalie in Nedeljkovic. How do you feel about that?
yeah, the Suter pickup and the Nedeljkovic pickup are definitely future moves, while Mark Stahl is just a guy who's been there before. He's obviously been to a Cup back in 2014 when the Rangers lost in 5 to the LA Kings. So you keep a veteran around to help teach the young defensemen and guys in the locker room how to be a professional. And signing Suter when the Blackhawks didn't want him, who was a great rookie last year, and then Nedeljkovic, who was traded when I don't think he should have. Two guys who were rookies last year performed very well, are picked up by Steve Eiserman, the GM, and I think this team is playoff bound. Not this season, but in the near future, as the moves look good.
Yeah. You you can't say that to Carolina, who's part of who traded away Nedeljkovic, but and after a great season they had last year, but that's a thing we can talk about for another time. Now we go to number 8, a team that I think would like to be in the playoffs this season is the Vancouver Canucks, as they received Ekman Larsson and Connor Garland from the Arizona Coyotes, and they also released Holtby, and signing in his place, they signed. Do you want to guess, Austin or?
You just tell me. I forgot his name already.
Okay, well, I was trying to stall, but I'm still stalling.
It's from Tampa Bay, right?
They. Oh yes, that's who they got. They got. Oh shoot! Now I gotta look at the wrong page. They gotta look at the goalie. I think it was Martin. Martin. They signed Martin. That's the guy's last name. I'll look on that while you give your thoughts.
Yeah, so these are questionable moves by the Canucks because they saved cap space this season by trading away Louis Eriksson and crew of the bad deals. But next season and on, when they have to re-sign Pedersen, have to re-sign all these other guys, it's going to be a big cap issue. And I don't really like their moves, but they can always prove me wrong by making a deep playoff run and contending for a cup.
They got Spencer Martin from the Tampa Bay Lightning to fill in for Holtby, which makes sense. That would be if they were to go on a prolonged run. Maybe there's something in Canada, because that'd be the second year in a row. You got Montreal and then Vancouver. Maybe a possible matchup with the Bruins. Who knows? So I think we can move on. Speaking of the Bruins, we got Boston ranked ahead of them as they re-signed Taylor Hall, and I think that's a huge signing for them as he can add some scoring outside of your main line with Marchand and Pasternak. I'll let you talk more about the other signings.
Yeah, so they also signed Nick Foligno, who was with Toronto last year, and they also got Linus Olmark, who was a great starter last year for Buffalo. I really like these moves. Foligno is a good veteran guy who's obviously with Columbus during most of their runs, and he's a good veteran. Olmark, I think, will be contending for a starting job, especially with Rask out with injury, and we haven't even re-signed him. We don't know if he's going to retire or not. So a good Swayman Olmark matchup and re-signing Hall, I do think, is a great move.
And a key thing is Rask has yet to sign with anyone, so maybe a possible, but he will be injured for most of the season. Where'd you say Foligno played last season?
Foligno played for Toronto after being
Yes.
traded from Columbus.
Yes. I just wanted to double check, even though I didn't really need to. Now we go on to the Avalanche, where they re-signed Landeskog, get Kemper, the goalie, after losing Grubauer. That's such a tough blow for them. And they signed Jost, re-signed Jost, as he played for 54 of the 56 games they played. So it's good to just have that continuity back in their front with their forwards. What are your thoughts on this?
So, yeah, I mean, this is obviously very, very important moves. I think the biggest one is Darcy Kemper. Obviously, they lost Grubauer to Seattle, which everybody was freaking out. Grubauer was a contender for the Vezina, and everybody was like, oh, the Avalanche aren't contenders anymore. Well, yeah, they are. They got Darcy Kemper, one of the best goalies in his division last year, and while Phoenix did not make the playoffs, or Arizona. I always say Phoenix, even though it's been Arizona for years now. I'm just used to saying Phoenix from a while back. But Arizona didn't make the playoffs last year, but Darcy Kemper was amazing, and it's really a goal scoring issue in Phoenix, and we'll get to Phoenix later as they are later on this list. But Darcy Kemper is a big pickup, and obviously they need to keep the captain Gabriel Landeskog to shore up their top line.
And they also kept it at a reasonable price because they also have McKinnon in line. Believe next year, or is it 2 years?
I think it's next year.
Okay, I'll double check that. Now we get to move on to number 5. We have Dallas. I was really excited that I got the notification that we extended Miro and with Ryan Suter to fill in that top 4 spot we lost in the expansion draft with Alexiak. However, I am nervous about the Holtby signing because to me that signifies there's something going on with Ben Bishop, and it looks like we may try to move Hudobin due to the rise of Ottinger and how he regressed last season. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting situation. I don't think Ben Bishop is done, even though they did sign Braden Holtby. I think Bishop will be out for the majority of next season, even though many people thought that he may come back at the beginning of the season. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with all of the goaltenders. Obviously, they have Hudobin, they have Ottinger, and they have Holtby now, all contending for 2 jobs. And if Bishop comes back, it's really going to put an interesting dilemma onto Rick Bonus's hands. They have great defense, and after losing Alexiak to pick up Ryan Suter on, I think too long of a term, but still a good defenseman for his age, and it's still a good move in my eyes. And then you had to pick up, extend Miro. So I like the moves they made, and that's why they're here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find McKinnon's contract. It's saying he signed a 7-year, $44.1 million deal. I think this was a few years ago, correct? Or is this breaking news, sort of? Austin?
Let me see. So you're saying he just signed it?
No, from the article. Yeah, it says May 31st. I have no idea what I'm reading. It's saying he signed a 7-year, $44.1 million deal. I don't think that's right. I'll just check out Spot Track.
Yeah, I would check up on that while I go on to the next team.
Okay.
So at 4, we have a team that may be surprising. They were very bad last year and maybe bad again. But it's the Columbus Blue Jackets. They traded Bachfist. I know they traded for Bachfist. They signed Jake Bean, and they also got Voracek. These are good moves for the future, especially Jake Bean, who I think is a very good young defenseman, and Bachfist is also going to be very good. Obviously, they also re-signed Patrick Laine to a 1-year deal, gave him a qualifying offer that he accepted. So while this team may not be good and they had to sign a new head coach, I like the moves they made, and they were definitely noteworthy.
And I figured it out. Next season is McKinnon's last year before he's a free agent in 2022. I have no idea what the article was saying. So we'll just move on from that. I kind of see, I like the moves Columbus made with Adam Bolquist and Jake Bean. I think it could be a surprising team if everything goes right. And Line A, if he plays well, could be in for a huge payday. But now we can move on to another team that I don't see being surprising, just maybe how surprisingly bad they are, is the Arizona Coyotes. They traded away Ekman Larson and Connor Garland, and they also traded away Anton Strawman. So how do you feel about those moves?
Next year and the year after, all those contracts will be up, and so I really like this move. I almost want to say Phoenix again, but Arizona is a team that can't score. So in the future, they're going to have to pick up guys who can and help grow their young guys. But I really like the moves they made, and they obviously traded to get a first-round pick in this draft with the Canucks. And that Ekman Larson trade, obviously they traded away Connor Garland, and as you mentioned, they picked up Anton Strawman. So while they take on a lot of cap space, picking up guys like Louis Erickson and Suter and etc., but for the future, I really like these moves, and they were definitely headliners throughout the offseason.
Thanks for catching me. I actually said they traded Anton Stroman. I just thought they traded everyone, but they actually signed him. So thanks for catching me on that. Now we go to number 2. Very tempting to put them at number 1, but they're at number 2. Just by a slight edge, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks. Getting Tyler Johnson from Tampa Bay, then the Seth Jones trade, trading away Adam Boqvist, and extending Seth Jones for 8 years, and then of course the Marc-Andre Fleury move. To me, you mentioned the Stanley Cup or bust. This is flirting with that list. Maybe if we had a tier list like we did in the Super Bowl one last episode, I think they would definitely be in that list. But it's flirting with it, and I can't explain much more.
Yeah, and like we talked about off air, if they get Taves back, they're definitely in that category or close to, because of all the moves they made. I don't know if they're there. Seth Jones didn't have a great season last year. I think Boqvist actually had a better year in my opinion, but Seth Jones has more potential, and obviously picking up Marc-Andre Fleury will definitely change their goaltending. Many people were surprised to find out that Robin Leonard was with Chicago last year. Not last year, 2 years ago, back in 2019 and 2019-2020 season. So 2 years ago, even though that season ended less than a year ago, which is weird. But Leonard was with them, trade to Vegas, and now they trade Marc-Andre Fleury. Vegas does. And they obviously don't make this list, as you can tell, because they're not number 1. But yeah, the Marc-Andre Fleury trade, especially him saying that he's going to go, I think confirmed that they were going to be high up on this list, and it definitely assisted their efforts at making a deep run this season.
They're also a team that had traded away Duncan Keith to Edmonton. But Edmonton is also not the number 1. Our number 1, they had quite a big offseason because they had to form their whole team. And that, of course, is the Seattle Kraken. And it's not just selecting a new team, it's who they selected, as they selected Giordano and Alexiak, and they extended Alexiak. And Alexiak is a great defenseman and has been a really nice pairing with Miro. And he does have some offensive flashes. And then they, of course, select Drieger, which had been leaked, but then they signed Grubauer in the offseason, which was such a biggest move. I'll let you talk more about that tandem.
Yeah, I mean, that goalie tandem, in my opinion, is the best in hockey right now. Olmark and Swayman, I think, can get up there, and there are other teams that obviously have great tandems. But Drieger, Grubauer, I don't even know who's the number 1 starter. I'd assume it's Grubauer, but obviously the starter for the future is Drieger, and they also signed him to an extension. I love the move Seattle made, and while I don't know if they're particularly a playoff team this season, they're really close, and maybe they go on a Vegas run. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. And given what Vegas did, like you said, the Vegas run, a lot of people are probably expecting that to come, but it's a little bit different than the Vegas thing. So that completes our list of the top 10 biggest moves. Now, our next episode will be, I believe, we'll be going back to the NFL and doing playoff or bust teams. More details on that in next episode. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions, and make sure to check out our other bust videos. Thank you for listening.